There's something most men don't realize. Women test men, not always on purpose. Sometimes it's unconscious. Sometimes it's instinct. But it happens. And if you fail the test, the attraction fades. Slowly, then suddenly. The worst part? Most guys don't even know they're being tested. They think it's just bad timing or that they said the wrong thing. But what's really happening is deeper, much deeper. Women test to see if you're grounded in yourself, if you have emotional control, if your words match your actions, if you stand firm, or if you bend at the first sign of pressure. These tests don't come with warnings. You won't hear her say, "Hey, I'm about to test you now." Instead, it'll come in the form of a sudden attitude shift, or silence, or a little drama, or even a compliment, followed by a cold shoulder the next day. Why? Because on some level, she's trying to find the edges of your strength. Not your physical strength, but your internal strength. Your presence, your energy, your self-respect. She wants to know, are you solid like a mountain? Or are you soft like wet sand? Most men fail this because they've been trained to chase, to please, to seek approval, to always make sure she's happy, even at the cost of their own peace. But here's the truth that flips the game upside down. Real men don't chase validation. Real men attract it. And how do they do that? Through presence, through self-control, through silence when it's needed, and calm leadership when it's time to speak. This is where Stoic detachment comes in. When you're detached, you're not cold. You're not distant. You're simply grounded. You don't react to every mood shift. You don't panic when she pulls away. You don't beg when she seems distant. Because you're already full. You don't need her to fill you up. You've got a mission, a purpose, a reason to wake up that's bigger than a relationship. You're not afraid of her walking away. You're not clinging. You're not trying to prove yourself. You've already proven yourself to yourself. And that's all that matters. This is the energy that passes every test without even knowing there was one. Because while she's waiting to see if you'll crumble under pressure, you're busy living your life. Focused, calm, confident, rooted. And that calm confidence makes her lean in. Why? Because it's rare, it's valuable, it's powerful. In a world full of men who fold, a man who holds his frame becomes magnetic. She feels it, even if she can't explain it. It's not something you say, it's something you are. And that's where the real game begins. Not with tricks, not with lines, but with truth, with self-control, with emotional mastery, with stillness. Let me tell you something that may sting a little. She doesn't want a man who needs her more than she needs herself. Sounds harsh? Maybe. But it's the truth. A woman might say she wants a caring guy, a sweet guy, a guy who puts her first, and she might believe it. But if you actually live that way, if you orbit around her, if your happiness depends on her mood, if you shrink your life to fit inside hers, she'll lose respect for you. Not out of cruelty, but instinct. You were not built to worship her. You were built to build, to create, to lead, to protect, to stay calm when the world is spinning. She'll test you when you forget this. She'll test you when you make her your entire world. She'll test you by going cold just to see what you'll do. Will you beg? Will you chase? Will you get emotional and accuse her? That's the moment where most men fail, and they don't even know it. Because when you place her above yourself, you invite her to look down on you. Not because she's mean, but because nature works that way. You've made her your god, and no one wants to date their worshipper. The truth is, women are attracted to men who stay focused on their path, even when love feels strong. The guy who goes to the gym when she's moody. The guy who doesn't cancel his plans just because she's throwing little tests. The guy who still meditates, still works on his mission, still shows up as the same man, no matter what storm she tries to bring. Because that man is safe. Not in a weak, predictable way, but in a powerful, grounded way. He's the eye of the storm. She might not admit it, but deep down she craves that stability. She wants to feel like she can test the walls and find out they don't shake. But if you crumble, if your emotions explode, if you stop being who you were just to please her, she'll walk away. Or worse, she'll stay and slowly lose all attraction. So the test you think is about making her happy is actually about staying true to yourself when things get messy. Stay calm. Stay focused. Let her feel your strength, not by force, but by stillness. A man who doesn't abandon himself wins the game she doesn't even know she's playing. And that's what separates the rare men from the rest. Here's a hard pill to swallow. Sometimes she will create drama just to see what you're made of. Not because she wants chaos, but because she wants to feel something deeper. See, many men think if they just stay nice, avoid arguments, and agree with everything she says, they'll win her over. But that's not how attraction works. She doesn't want a doormat. She wants a man with a spine. So when she starts poking at your limits, being moody, saying things that seem unfair, it's not random. It's a test. She wants to see what's behind the smile. She wants to know, is this guy solid or is he just pretending? She's not looking for a fight. She's looking for proof. Proof that you don't fold under pressure. Proof that you don't change your whole character when things get tense. Proof that your calm isn't just surface level, it's real. Most men fail this without even knowing they're being tested. They start defending themselves too much. They get offended. They try to fix her emotions instead of standing grounded in their own. But the man who passes, he doesn't panic. He doesn't chase approval. He listens. He stays cool. And he lets her storm pass without getting pulled into it. Because he knows her storm isn't personal. It's just her way of asking, can I trust you not to lose yourself when I lose myself? And when you stay calm in that moment, something powerful happens. She feels safe. Not because you solved anything, but because you didn't break. You stayed you. That's what a test really is. Not a game, not a trap, but a doorway. A doorway to deeper attraction, deeper trust, deeper connection. But only if you know how to walk through it. If you fail, she might not even know why she loses interest. She'll just say, I don't feel the spark anymore. If you pass, she'll look at you differently, not as a boy, but as a man she can respect, a man she can lean on, a man she doesn't want to lose. And that's when the game changes. Here's a test that most men never even notice. She watches how you handle silence, not just any silence, but those quiet moments when she stops giving you attention, stops texting first, or seems a little distant. Most guys freak out. They start chasing. They double text. They ask, "Did I do something wrong?" And just like that, they fail. Because here's the truth. Silence is not always a problem. Sometimes it's a mirror. She's not always testing your words. Sometimes she's testing your absence. She's asking, "What kind of man are you when I'm not clapping for you? Does your world fall apart when she goes quiet? Do you start chasing her just to feel wanted? Or do you stay steady, focused on your path, knowing that her silence doesn't define your worth?" See, silence isn't just space. It's pressure. It pushes on your insecurities and says, "Show me who you really are." A weak man rushes to fill the silence. A strong man lets it breathe. He doesn't panic. He stays present in his own life. He knows that real connection isn't built by begging. It's built by being. Because women don't want to carry the weight of your emotions. They want to feel your strength in the quiet. If you can't hold the silence, you can't hold her trust. When a woman pulls back, even slightly, and you respond with desperation, she sees it for what it is: neediness. But when you respond with calm, purpose, and patience, you show her something rare. A man who is already full, already grounded, already whole. She may not say it out loud, but deep down she notices. And now she starts to lean back in. Why? Because you didn't chase her energy. You stayed rooted in yours. That's the secret. The way you handle silence tells her everything. Here's another test you probably didn't see coming. She disagrees with you on purpose. It might be small. You say you like something. She says she doesn't. You mention a goal. She downplays it. You talk about your plan. She questions it. Now, this isn't always about the topic. It's about your reaction. She's not always trying to argue. She's checking your frame. Why? Because any man can seem strong when everyone agrees with him. But only a grounded man keeps his power when someone challenges him. Most men fail this test without even knowing they were being tested. They get defensive. They explain themselves over and over. They raise their voice, or worse, they back down just to keep the peace. They bend so fast just to feel liked again. But here's the truth. If your beliefs change every time a woman frowns, she doesn't feel safe following your lead. She's not looking for a robot who agrees with everything. She's looking for a man with a backbone, not a bully, not a pushover. A man who can calmly say, "I understand you see it differently. I still stand by what I said." That one sentence, that calm tone, it tells her everything. It tells her you're not looking for her approval. You're standing in your truth. And whether she agrees or not, she'll respect you more. Because now she knows this man can hold his ground. That's rare. So the next time she challenges you, don't panic. Don't fold. Don't fight. Just breathe. Stay calm. And remember, she's not testing your opinion. She's testing your center. Here's a sneaky one that catches almost every man off guard. She creates confusion on purpose. One day she's warm, laughing, texting back fast. The next day she's cold, distant, or barely replies. Most guys lose their minds here. They start asking, "Did I do something wrong?" They send longer messages. They call more often. They try to fix something that might not even be broken. But what they don't realize is this: she's testing your emotional balance. She wants to know, do you chase feelings or do you stay grounded in your mission? Because if a man is easily pulled by her moods, it shows her one thing: he's not in control of himself. And when a man's not in control of himself, she can't fully trust him. This is where the real game begins. Not between her and you, but between you and your emotions. When she goes cold, she's not always walking away. Sometimes she's stepping back just to see if you'll leave your center to chase her. She wants to see if you're ruled by desire or discipline. The man who passes this test is the one who stays rooted. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't chase. He doesn't complain. He simply continues living with purpose, peace, and quiet confidence. That calm silence speaks louder than any message you could send. It tells her, "I like you, but I don't lose myself over anyone." That's not arrogance, that's strength. When you remain calm through her storms, she sees something most men can't fake: emotional power. And emotional power is rare, which is why it's irresistible. Here's one of the most overlooked tests: the test of how you handle success. Yes, you read that right. Sometimes it's not about how you handle rejection. It's about how you act when she starts giving you attention. Most men think the challenge is over once the woman shows interest. They relax. They get comfortable. They start pouring out affection, losing the edge that attracted her in the first place. This is the point where most men lose their mystery, their masculinity, and their momentum. Why? Because when a man finally wins her, he often forgets the life he was building before her. He shifts all his energy onto her. He responds faster. He becomes more available. He rearranges his plans. He makes her the center of his world. And guess what? That's the moment she starts to lose interest. You see, women don't just test men when they're being ignored. They test men when they're being adored, because they want to know, can he stay grounded in success? When she gives you attention, do you fall apart and abandon your mission? Or do you stay steady, focused, and present, but never dependent? That's what she's watching. A man who stays emotionally stable, even when he's getting everything he wants, is the kind of man who's dangerous, in a good way. He doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't get high off validation. He doesn't chase the hit of approval. He enjoys the connection, but his identity isn't tied to it. That's the true mark of inner power. And deep down she knows, if you can't handle her interest with balance, you won't handle her love with strength. Let's talk about a test that feels harmless, but it's actually one of the most dangerous. It's the "how much can I influence his mind?" test. Most men don't even know this one is happening. It doesn't show up as drama. It doesn't come in the form of arguments or distance. It shows up in soft suggestions, gentle nudges, innocent-seeming comments. She might say something like, "Why do you work so much? Do you really need to hang out with your friends this weekend? Why are you always reading those books?" It sounds sweet. It sounds caring. But underneath she's watching something very specific. Will you bend? Will you fold your path just to keep the peace? Will you water yourself down to be more comfortable for her? This is not because she wants to control you. It's because she wants to feel your spine. She wants to feel that your purpose is bigger than your desire for her approval. If she can easily move you off your goals, if she can steer your time, your focus, your energy with a few soft words, then something becomes very clear to her. You're not grounded. You might be sweet, you might be attentive, but you're not dangerous. Not in the way a woman respects. You see, women want to feel your gravity. They want to know that your life is already moving in a direction. And if they come along, they're joining your mission, not becoming it. The man who passes this test doesn't argue. He doesn't get defensive. He simply continues on the path he's already chosen, because that path is built on values, not validation. And that silent strength, it does something no words can ever do. It says, "I love you, but I'm not changing my soul to keep you." And in that moment, she sees you. Not as a boy who wants her approval, but as a man she deeply respects. Say. Let's talk about the test most men don't even notice until it's too late. It's what I call the chaos check. This is where she brings emotional storms into your world. Not because she enjoys drama, but because she wants to see. How do you handle disorder? One day she's hot, the next day cold. 1 minute she's sweet, the next she's distant. She tells you everything's fine, but you know it's not. And now you're in your head. You're trying to fix it. You're asking questions. You're bending your energy in 1,000 directions trying to make her feel okay. But here's the secret she'll never say out loud. She doesn't want you to chase her mood. She wants you to anchor it. A woman in chaos is looking for a man who doesn't flinch. She wants to feel your emotional stability when hers is shaking. She wants to know, can you stay centered while everything else spins? Because life brings storms. And if you can't handle her ups and downs now, how will you handle life's punches later? You don't pass this test by arguing. You don't pass it by pleading or explaining. You pass it by staying grounded, calm, clear. When she throws confusion, you respond with clarity. When she stirs emotion, you stay composed. Not cold, not distant, just steady. Think of yourself like a mountain. The wind can howl. The rain can pour, but the mountain doesn't move. That's what builds her respect. Because when she sees that you don't get swept up in the waves of her emotion, she knows you're not just reacting to her. You're leading yourself. And if you can lead yourself, she'll trust you to lead the rest. So next time you feel tested by tension, don't panic. Don't chase. Just breathe and be still. That stillness, that's the thing most men never offer, and the very thing she's testing for. Now, let's talk about the test you might think you've already passed. But have you really? This is the rejection reversal test. It happens when she seems to pull away, or even flat out rejects you. Maybe she says she's not interested, or she distances herself emotionally. Most men panic at this moment. They jump into fix-it mode or prove themselves mode. They chase harder. They give more. They beg for a second chance. And that's where they fail. Because here's the dirty little secret. Her rejection isn't always about you. In fact, it's not even the real test. This is the ultimate check to see if you are emotionally free. See, women don't want to be with someone who needs their validation to feel like a man. They don't want someone who's dependent on them to define their worth. They want someone who has their own life, their own purpose, and their own emotional control. When a woman rejects you, it's a test of your independence. It's not a personal attack. It's an invitation to show her that you don't need her to feel whole. And when you pass this test, you show her that your value doesn't depend on her approval. Your self-worth is anchored in something deeper. Most men respond with emotional desperation, and that desperation only makes them appear weak. It's the one thing that makes them less attractive, not more. But the man who can accept the rejection with grace, the man who can move on without skipping a beat, that man commands respect. That man is a leader in her eyes. The secret here is this: rejection isn't the problem. Your reaction to it is. If you feel rejected, it means you're still putting too much of your value into her opinion. You need to change that fast. How? By living a life that's fulfilling on your own. By having goals, passions, and interests that you're actively pursuing, regardless of her involvement. And the best part? When you're emotionally detached, not dependent on any person for your sense of self, you start to attract people who value you for who you really are. The trick is never let rejection define you. It's simply feedback. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your value. It's just another opportunity to show that you've got something far more powerful than her validation. Your own unshakable self-worth. And when you have that, the rejection no longer stings. Now she'll see you for what you really are. A man with power. A man with peace. A man who can't be broken by the temporary changes in life's emotional weather.